Okay, welcome everybody. What I'm going to do is a very quick presentation of one of the latest products of Fusion Labs, which is our Data Mart. I'll do a quick PowerPoint presentation. I won't spend too long on it, and then we'll actually go through the product itself and show you why we developed it and some of the functions in it. So the product overview, first question, what is a data warehouse? And really it is just a grouping of all the data from Financial Edge, Razor's Edge, and Granted GE. We pull it all into one place so that we can do reporting on it. Our first version is a Data Mart, which is just sort of a focused grouping, and it's really on fund statements. And then we are going to build a full-blown data warehouse which will incorporate all the information of use to reporting. So so that's what a Data Mart is. The Fund Statement Data Mart FSDM is the product that we've got at the moment. It's available today, so this is not vaporware. It is actually available today, and it allows you to quickly focus on the production of a fund statement. The data warehouse, which will come later, which will be allow you to create a lot of different reports on the three databases, pulling all the information together. It runs on SQL Server, so that doesn't require any new operating software. It takes only about 1 to 2 days to install it, and about 2 to 3 days to configure the basic data requirements. The interesting thing is, one of the things that we do on the installation is we actually provide you with a fund statement as part of the whole product, and we create a complex one. I won't get too technical on this, but basically this is the process. We take the data from GEFE, we bring it into a staging area, and then we take that and we clean up the data and we bring it through to the data warehouse, and that allows us to do the reporting. So why would we do this? One of the things is it allows you to quickly create a fund statement specifically for the website. So a normal fund statement, when you put it on the web, takes a long time to display. When you use the data warehouse or Data Mart, the data can quickly be accessed and presented, and it allows you to do some very complex fund statements. This is just a sample, and I'll show you the actual thing in production, but the fund statement that we create is configured in segments. So we have a segment on the financial position, a segment on the activities, and we have net asset summary, spendable, fund performance. All of this are segments which you can plug and play and organize exactly as you want in your statement. And specifically, it allows you to do graphs. So we can pull in graphs on grant history, fund balance history, and a lot of different things. So what I want to show you is the actual it in operation. So I have created a fund statement using the Data Mart, and I will show you some of the information on the back end. But what I'm doing now is logging in to Spectrum, our online portal. If you haven't got Spectrum, you need to get it now because it is the best thing since sliced bread. And so I'm logging in. The layout of this website obviously can be configured to your website, the look and feel of that. It gives you a lot of different, I am obviously have full access to everything, board members, applicants, proposal applicants, scholarship applicants, and obviously donors. And so the donor would come in, wouldn't obviously see all this, would get directed to their portal where they can see a lot of information. But the key thing is they get to access their reports. And the report that they most want, the fund statement. And if I bring it up, I am full admin, so I have access to all of these reports, all of these funds. But the donor would only get to see their fund. But they can pick any period that you choose. So this period here is at your definition. You can go back as far as you need. You can go as forward to whenever the last closed period is. You are in total control of that. But you can choose periods that cross fiscal years. You can choose partial fiscal years, but all of that is configurable. And obviously, you can pull the statement. And the interesting thing is, one, you'll see logos, and I'll show you because I'll pull another fund, it'll have a different logo. All of this information, and you'll see how fast it came up with the financial position, the activity. You can actually have graphic images or text embedded in the thing, so you can provide donors with text information. The key thing is obviously graphs. So you can choose different graphs. And I've got a fund balance history, a grant history, and you can actually see where they're giving their information. This was mainly to healthcare. And you can get period activity. So a list of all the gifts, the grants, etc. If they have more than one fund, they can choose to pick it up from this. You'll see the logo changed because it's geared to the fund in this particular case. We've changed some of the layout, so not only can you have different fund statements, but you can vary the fund statement depending on the donor. So there are different fund statements. And again, the speed with which it comes up is the key thing. So there's this one had a little more information on that. But these fund statements are generated from the data mart, and they're exceedingly fast. They come up in the time that you expect the web page to respond. It doesn't sit there for time. And obviously it's exported, printed, they have full control over the deal. And that's the data mart. The data mart pulls in all information that you need for the fund statement. So it's pulling from FE, obviously, with all the net asset balances. That is directly from FE. It's pulling in gift history from Razor's Edge. It's pulling in grants from GE. It's pulling in information about investment strategies. And as we implement it, we ask you, where do you want this information to come from? And you tell us. You can have these graphs. This one goes back to 2001. Again, with the use of the data mart, the amount of data is not the issue. It's pulling up incredibly fast. And so that's the data mart. And as I say, we started with the fund statement aspect of it, and the fund statement aspect of it, but we will move on to a more complete data warehouse, which will allow full reports. these reports are the way we build it up, and you'll have to excuse any errors that I get because it's on my test system, but the report itself is developed in Visual Studio in standard SSRS deals, and what we've done on it, and you'll see it, is these are the two types of reports that I've got. But behind that is, if I bring up just one of the reports, and these will increase as we build more functions into it. But you'll see all of these graphs and different components are all blocks that we build into the report. And so to move things about on the deal, you don't have to create these blocks, because we will do that and provide it with the data mart. But what you can do is move them about. If you want the graph on a different page, this is the statement of activity. You just move it around. So I can move these around as needed. And the actual data mart itself with the data is also configured. I won't get into that component of it because it's a little more technical. But all I've done there is changed this report and moved things around very quickly. And all I've got to do is deploy it. And that new format is now available online for the donor. So if I quickly go back in and log back in, I think you'll see that it has changed in format with very little effort. And as I say, once the component parts are built, the actual manipulation of that to get a fund statement that your foundation wants is a lot easier. And I think that was for this format. By the way, I go back to 2011. I think it's the only period I've actually got data for in my test database. So, no, it's 2000. It's the other one that I just modified. But you'll see this moved across there. We changed a couple of the other positions. So it was a simple matter of just moving the components around to get a totally new fund statement. And that's it. Any questions?
Well, Fred, a couple of folks have put questions through the chat message feature here and joined me. You've answered one of them. Could you demo how easy it is to create a fund statement? You showed us how that works behind the scenes, under the hood there, if you will. One of the other questions was, does this integrate with BB&C, or will it?
In effect, yes. So there is, for all those who didn't know, for BB&C, there is a component part called Report Viewer, which allows you to display any SSRS report into BB&C, and in fact, the fund statement itself is just simply a report service report. So once you have created it, it's available obviously in Spectrum. But it can also be displayed in BB&C. So yes, it can be used to create reports for BB&C.
And I should point out also that NetCommunity also allows the same security sort of features that we allow in Spectrum, where not only do you pass in a report ID, you can also pass in a user ID for the currently logged in donor so that they only have access to their data, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Very good. I don't see any other questions in the chat window. Do we have any questions from the floor before we stop the recording? Here's another one that just came in. Can we customize any element, not just whole components?
What we do on the implementation of the data mart is that we do sit down with you and create these components based on your needs. What we hope to do is create sufficient components to cover all of your needs. If you want specific, and most of these components themselves are configured based on the data in the actual underlying production database. So these line items here in the financial position actually come from a VCO, Virtual Chart Organizer within Financial Edge. So just by modifying the VCO, we'll change the components in there. And so that's how we do a lot of the individual modifications. But if you want it totally changed, that would happen during implementation. We would talk to you about it and configure the component to be to have your needs. Things like this, the messages can be easily modified, various mechanisms. So yes.
All right. The questions keep coming in, Fred. There's another one here that says the audience may be interested in how fresh this data is. The ETL runs the night before. Is that correct?
That is correct. You can actually run, the ETL is basically the component that loads the data warehouse with new data. That normally will run on a nightly basis, but there's no reason why that is a requirement. You can actually run it at any time. Just so you'll know, on my test database, it generally, you can count on it taking about an hour to update the data warehouse. So you can run it more often than overnight, but most of the time, certainly on the fund statement, there is no real need to update it more often than that. But it's so normally we would set it to run overnight, but again, we can talk about that. And normally in my demo, and I think I did this in the last demo, I actually refreshed my data warehouse as I was doing the presentation, so it doesn't take that long.
Good deal. A couple of additional questions here. One is, do you have a pricing structure for the data warehouse?
Yeah, we start as expensive and we move up from there. We do actually have a pricing structure. I will get that out. We're going through internal meetings over the next couple of days, and so we will probably get it out by end of next week. We'll have a pricing structure both for the data mart and also for GE Next. You'll get to see all of that probably end of next week.
Good deal. Another question that's come in is, where is this data hosted?
That is a great deal.
And along with that, another question.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Fred. And along with that, another question: are there data storage requirements?
Obviously, yes. And the first one, where is it hosted? The data mart really coexists with your databases. And mainly that's just for ease of refreshing it. It can be hosted anywhere, but if you've got all the databases online, then you can host it there. As far as data storage requirements, it's I honestly haven't. It's not that big. I mean, it's my size on my database is 124 meg a byte for the main database, and that is basically bringing in. So it's a lot smaller than your financial database. So I would say take your biggest database, REFEGE, and you're only running at about 25% of the size of that. Would be mainly because the data mart is summarizing most of your transaction that leads to balances. So a lot of the data, and certainly we're not doing attachments within the data mart, so it's not holding a lot of the data that makes these databases huge. So it's very good.
Good deal. We've had another question come in. How many of your customers are currently using this product?
Since we only just released this product, we have, in effect, none that are actually using the data mart as is. But just so that full disclosure on this, we actually developed a data mart for a client of ours, and we then used that as a basis for moving to this generic product. So we do actually have one client that's actually using the data mart. We are about to implement it in a second client, and hopefully there will be many more following this. It has been a much needed tool in this arena for a long time.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Fred, that's all the questions that have come in through chat. Unless there are any other questions from the floor, I'll go ahead and stop the recording, and we'll switch gears to GE next.